Hey, you've been stuck. You've been feeling unmotivated. I get it. No, I actually do. How many times have you set a goal? Started off strong, lost momentum, maybe a week or two in, maybe three, four if you're lucky. Or even worse, you never even started because you felt like you weren't ready. Used to be me. To a degree, still is. Hence the reason I'm making this video. Because everything I do is, as I'm figuring it out, I want to share so that you guys have an easier path. Your journey is a lot easier than mine. You guys get farther than I did, faster. So if it took me something 4 years, I want to give you some frameworks and things that I've learned so that you can cut that in half. Maybe you can get to where I'm at in less time, or even better, you freaking zoom past me. In my entire life, I've had a difficult time figuring out my purpose. I guess you can say I've been lost my whole life. And to a degree, I'd say I still am. I don't have everything figured out. I'm only human, for crying out loud. How much can I possibly know? I don't want this to be another motivational video. I want to get down to the roots of what actually works, what has worked for me, things to avoid, key pitfalls, moments where I failed, and what I learned from those failures. Strategies and systems really helped me, which is why you guys see I'm so big on frameworks. Avoid this, do this, adopt this, because I had to learn through falling. There are some things I do believe that you have to learn through iteration, through actually doing it. And I also believe that you can completely avoid and learn from things without having to experience it. We need to understand why we get stuck first. There's something called this motivation trap. For some odd reason, we've been conditioned to believe that it's motivation which is the key to success. Truth is, motivation is almost unreliable because it's fleeting and emotion driven. Meaning we feel it all at once, it's a burst, we feel it right away, and it fleets, it goes. And then we feel it again, and it leaves. A lot of people think it's motivation, which leads to action. Actions create the results. It's the opposite. Actions create the momentum, which builds motivation, because when you have momentum, you see progress. Acknowledgement of progress makes you motivated to keep going. It reinstates the behavior. That leads to results. Because of your motivation, you get the results. And motivation is a byproduct of taking action. Action is not a byproduct of motivation. You become motivated when you see progress. You can only see progress if you act. If you go with the cycle of, I'm gonna wait till I'm motivated to take action, then it'll be this constant cycle of, I'm motivated, let's go. Oh wait, the motivation is gone. Now I don't feel so good doing this. I'm doing it again? Are you kidding me? Oh, this is so boring. Let me go back to something else. No, I don't like this. Damn, I'm the worst version of myself. I hate this. Now I'm motivated. Now I'm gonna do it again. Oh wait, motivation is gone. And it's just a constant cycle. Here's how we can break it down into tactics to actually change. Take the smallest possible action. Something so easy, it almost feels silly not to do it. If you are struggling with exercise, do one push-up. It's almost silly to not do it. Then the next day, go for 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and then 6, then 7, and so on and so forth. Add a push-up every single day. You cannot underestimate the power of compound growth. You cannot underestimate it. In weight training, bodybuilding, strength training, there's progressive overload, meaning every time you train, you progressively add weight, be it 2.5 pounds, 5 pounds, 1 pound. Because every time you do it, you are climbing the ladder. You're climbing the ranks. You're adding more and more and more. And then in a span of 30 to 60 to 90 days, you look back and you say, wow, I've lifted so much more weight. The same rule applies in life, where you don't have to tackle it 100%. You don't need to give it 100%. You can give it 1%. and add another 0.5% and another 0.5. And within a 90-day period, you look back and you say, wow, I've come so far. But the only way to play that game is if you're patient with yourself, because there's moments where you're going to want to jump in. Hey, if you have it, go. I'm not telling you not to jump in. If you have the strength, the guts, the will, the capacity, go. Full throttle, 100%, go. But you don't have to. You can just start small. Micro habits will always transform to macro growth. You cannot escape this. Macro growth is a byproduct of compounding little bitty actions every day. When you're overwhelmed, it really hinders progression or even stops it. The thing is, getting overwhelmed happens when we try to tackle everything at once. For crying out loud, our brains, it craves clarity. Without clarity, without a high resolution image, we freeze. Because we're bombarded with so many actions, we are unsure of what to do next. We don't know what move to make because there are so many moves to make. So we're like, which one? There's a thing called the rule of one, meaning you focus on one rule, one goal, one action, one habit at a time. If you need to become emotionally intelligent, physically fit, financially stable, you try to juggle all of that, and 3 things get 30%, and nothing gets 100%. I understand that you may have to get in physical shape. I understand that you want to become intelligent and learn. I understand that you want to get more money. I understand that you want to do this and this. And you will. But let's start in one area. Let's start with becoming more intelligent. Maybe read. And if you're going to focus on, okay, I want to focus on my intelligence right now, you have to do everything that falls under that. Maybe you have to read. Maybe you have to reflect. Maybe you have to study yourself, your past actions, your past behaviors, patterns that are already in place. Maybe you have to really understand yourself. Maybe you have to learn about others to help create an understanding of yourself. And in doing so, you actually can understand others. If your goal and your focus is physical fitness and getting in shape, maybe you learn about anatomy. You learn about physiology, how your body functions, nutrients, how to train, the art of movement. If you really want to tunnel in on money, discard all of that. Maybe you learn the in and outs of business, the game of money, fiat currency, how you can compound wealth, skills you need to obtain to have leverage, to stop trading time for money. One area first, one channel. Do not diversify too early. Early diversification is death. That's the rule in business. That's the rule in life. And I do believe that is the rule for almost anything we do, is in the early stages, you avoid diversification at all costs. At all costs. One channel until you've mastered that channel, until you've gotten good at that channel, until you see exponential growth from that channel, until you see progress from that channel, then diversify to something else. Using what you've gained from this channel, now you can diversify. Add more to the body of knowledge, making that journey easier. Because when you journey on one path, you have to be a master at that path. Only then can you take the exit and embark on another path and become the master of that path. Each morning, all I want you to do is ask yourself one thing. What can I do today that would just make the biggest difference? Block out time, do it first. If you need to train, just get it done early throughout the day. Get it over with so you don't have to think about it the rest of the day. Because one thing's for certain, today you're going to meet a lot of knuckleheads. Today you're going to meet a lot of people that need your patience or that require you to be patient. You're going to meet a lot of people that just are not aware of themselves, and it will really be draining. Last thing you need is to get done with the day, be completely drained, and not do the thing that you have to do, which is directly impacting your goals or the results that you want. Beyond just being bombarded by a lot of options, we have the fear of failure, and it's paralyzing because the fear of failure makes us almost procrastinate. We avoid actions altogether. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a byproduct of trying to be successful, which I don't think a lot of people understand. They think they can completely avoid failure. The path of success calls for you to fail at one moment or another because it's who you become from the failure. So that success is so much more rewarding. Don't fear failure. Welcome it and say, this is completely normal. If I were to fail, it would be completely normal because it's part of it. If I am failing, this is 100% normal. Expectations get reset. Start fresh. Blank slate, now go. Reframe failure as feedback. Doesn't have to be a negative feedback loop. It can be a positive feedback loop that helps reinforce something. Don't say, what if I fail? Say, well, what would I learn if I did? What can I learn if I failed? So then you stop being afraid of failure, but you see it as just a little hill that you have to get over because it's on the path of success. And again, failure and success is the same path. Failure is just a sooner exit. You don't have to take the exit. You can keep staying strong. Stay on the path. The few mindsets that almost changed everything for me was taking extreme ownership. No one's going to come to save you. And it was super harsh for me to digest that at the time because I wanted some magical fairy godparent to come sweep in, pick me up, come from the heavens and rescue me. But it wasn't going to happen, and it was harsh, but it was so empowering because it means that I had the power to change my life at that moment when I knew that no one was going to come to save me. No one was going to come and just rescue me from the trenches of my own misery. It was up to me to pull myself out. And in doing so, maybe I can help pull other people out in the future. You have to take extreme ownership. Take responsibility for everything in your life. Your success, your failures, all of your circumstances. Take responsibility. It shifts you from being a victim to a leader, from being stagnant to growing, from just consolidating to experiencing upward spirals of progression. You have to reflect on the entire day and ask, what could I have done better? What's in my control to improve tomorrow? And this is where we get into an identity shift. Because when people focus, and I'm a victim of it too, when we focus on what we want to achieve, we ask, what do we have to do? Not the important question, which is, who do I need to become? What do I have to do to get $1 million? As opposed to, who do I have to become to get $1 million? What do I have to do to get in shape? As opposed to, who do I have to become to get in shape? If you focus on what you have to do, you're bombarded by a lot. If you focus on who you need to become, it's a small shift because if we take the health angle, what do I have to do to get in shape? I have to eat less, I have to do more, I have to do this, do this, do this. Who do I have to become? I just have to become someone that can do the same boring things every day. I have to become someone that can perform despite how I feel. I have to become someone that can delay gratification, which makes taking the action even easier because now it's a behavioral change. And then when you can change the behavior, the actions are a lot easier to carry out, a lot easier to see through to the end. Don't think like this. Once I have success, I'll do the right things, and then I'll feel like a winner. Let's flip it. Be the person who takes consistent action. Do the work. And then you'll just have the result as a byproduct of doing and becoming. You don't do to become, you become, which helps you do. And the result is the byproduct of all of that. You shift from the goal to the journey, the outcome to the process. Because it's in these building stages where you feel a lot of emotions, where it's freaking difficult, where you almost want to give up, that you unlock a version of yourself that you never even knew existed. From there, you need to master your inner narrative. It's key and it's critical because the way you talk to yourself determines your actions. And I know this is so paradoxical because I'm very rough with myself, but I don't let my rough, damaging words hinder my growth. I let it propel me. I'm a fan of tough love because there was a moment in my life where I needed it, and so I give it to myself. I needed tough love at a moment in my life where self-love wasn't enough. All the positive mantras wasn't enough. I needed someone to be like, hey, wake the heck up. You are not enough yet, boy. And so I gave it to myself, and it's my propellant. It's my fuel. I can be kind with myself too. But there are seasons where I'm like, okay, time to be kind with yourself. You came a long way. Let's look back. How grateful are you? And there are seasons where it's put your damn foot on the pedal, press it down, don't let go, hold the steering wheel straight, aim, fire, launch. You have this inner critic and then you have the inner coach. Your inner critic focuses on what you cannot do. Your inner coach reminds you, hey, you've done this before and you've overcome this. Get up, you got it. But it's a coach for a reason. The coach wants you to do good, but needs you to do good. So the coach is there to push, 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 push. See it in yourself. You got it. You got it. I see it in you. See it in yourself. The critic just goes, you're doing everything wrong. You could do better in this. You could do better in... The critic is just here to critique. The coach is here to critique and propel, lift, push, motivate. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, just remind yourself, maybe I'm not right now because I know I can do more. But look at what I've been through and how far I've come. And I'm learning and improving every day. So damn it, maybe I'm not so bad. So those are small frameworks that made a big impact. Now we have these frameworks. Now we have to devise systems, right? Momentum is everything. When a rocket flies and takes off, it's not the takeoff moment that's important, but can it continue? Can it keep that momentum, that upward momentum? Because if not, crashes, dives straight down, done, explodes. I like the idea of habit stacking habits, because building habits from scratch is really tough. But attaching new habits to existing routines make them just a little bit easier to stick with. If we take that idea and that system, then that means we do something like this. After you insert your existing habit. Let's say you train in the morning. After I train, I will. Now what's a new habit? Let's say you want to read more. I will read. So after I train, habit that's already in place, I will read. Because I'm doing something that was hard for me at one point, which was training. So how hard can reading be? You attach it onto an existing habit. After I work all day, habit, I will, new habit, train. Don't just go, I have to do this. No. After I, then I will. Don't start from scratch, add on to what's already existing. That builds your momentum because you stack wins, you stack habits. Next thing you know, you're freaking unstoppable. Next thing you know, you've done so much more. You've conquered the entire day. Let that compound over a year, you'd be unrecognizable. That's a guarantee. If you want to simplify it, after I brush my teeth, habit that's already in place, I will read a book. I will write down my priorities. After I write down my priorities, I will take action to execute the priorities I have to get done. After I execute, I will reflect. Once I reflect, I will repeat. Stack your habits. I love this 2-minute rule too. Super powerful because it helps get a lot of things out the way, and it helps you prioritize, and it helps you get more things done. The hardest part of any task is pretty much starting. And the reason why things are hard to start is because we acknowledge all the things that can go wrong, right? Let's just say, for example, it's hard to start a business because you acknowledge all the things that can go wrong. What if I were to remove that and I say, no, there's a 100% guarantee you'll succeed, by the way. If you just launch the business, you'll be rich. You'd be like, oh, well, if that's the case, let me just start now, right? Because there's no possibility of failure. It's only hard because we acknowledge the possibility of failure, more so than we acknowledge the possibility of things going right. So we can break it down. We can take this 2-minute rule, which eliminates resistance, and we start focusing on the small beginnings of everything. If a task feels overwhelming, like starting a business, break it down into a version that takes 2 minutes or less. Instead of saying, how do I start a business? Just say, today I will take 2 minutes to learn about what a business is. Then the next day I will take 2 minutes to learn more about what a business is. And then I will design a logo. And then I will create a mood board. And then I will design a business plan, a blueprint. And then I will start. Then I'll get a domain. Then I'll get a hosting platform. Then I'll build my website. Then I'll find the product. Then I'll sell the product. Then I'll market the product. Then I'll advertise the product. All right? Break it down. What can you do? What's the big task? How can we minimize it to something that we can get done in 2 minutes? Is it studying? Is it practicing? Is it learning? Is it implementing? Just something, right? You want to start journaling? Hey, don't write a paragraph. Don't write a whole page essay. Write a sentence. The likelihood of you continuing once you start is very high because the fear is in the beginning, not throughout. The fear is taking the initial leap. That's always where the fear is. That's always where the blockade is. The wall. It's in the beginning. So once you make that hurdle and you leap, you're like, I'm here now. Whew. Then you got adrenaline pump. You're like, well, I did this. Maybe I can figure out the next. That's what we call momentum. And that's what we leverage to get things done. We have accountability, which is important. We can devise systems for accountability too. It matters to a degree because accountability increases follow-through by adding external stakes or resources. A lot of people hire personal trainers, perhaps for the knowledge, but really for the accountability. Someone to be like, hey, Susan, I am here at the gym. See you at 9. And then Susan's like, well, I can't waste this time. Now I got to be there at 9. Self-accountability is 1. You track progress. Peer accountability is 2. Start sharing goals with someone you trust. And then a system accountability is 3. You get automated reminders. Alarms. If you have to do something at 3, do it. Do something at 6, alarm, alarm, alarm. So you get reminded. I have a few alarms in my phone that reminds me to post content. And posting content means, hey, either go on Twitter, write your thoughts, either go to your notebook and type something valuable that you can share, either make a piece of content on YouTube, make a piece of content on Instagram, or if you have something already, don't forget to post it. I have 3 alarms. I have one at 12, 3, and 6 p.m. every day. Those are my system accountability. I have self-accountability, where I look back on how far I've come. When I started this YouTube channel, I had 0 subscribers, for crying out loud. I don't know how damn near 10,000 of you are subscribed to a knucklehead like me, but you guys do it. And it is so humbling. And I just sit on here, I press a space bar, I record with my phone, I use my MacBook microphone, and I talk. No cuts, nothing. Here you go. I have one light here, I have another light here. I have a third light in the back. I am not in a studio. I just go. And you guys keep coming back. I'm like, okay, either one, I might be giving value. Two, they're crazy. Or three, I might just be doing something right, for crying out loud. Or maybe some people are just really cool, down to earth people. I don't really have a peer accountability because I rely on self-accountability and system accountability. I fear that when I introduce a peer accountability, my dependence on that peer accountability may hinder my growth. And so I make sure to double down on self-accountability and I create systems to make me accountable before I integrate peer accountability. I know some people start with peer accountability, which helps them become accountable, which helps their self-accountability. Okay? So if you need, find an accountability partner, check in weekly, review progress and setbacks. Have a coach, have a mentor if you need that. Some people work different. My self-accountability and my systems make it to where I can have a peer accountability. Some people need peer accountabilities in order to develop self-accountability, which helps them create systems, which replace the peer accountability. So after these systems are in place, something good to do is design your environment for success. Your environment can either support or completely sabotage you. You need to set up small cues that trigger positive behaviors, control access to these distractions, and reward the progress. This is called redesigning, restructuring your environment. Here's a great example. If I really need to take medicine in the morning and I forget, I will set it right next to my toothbrush because every morning I brush my teeth. And if I see the medicine there, the likelihood of me taking it significantly increases. If an easy way out from going to the gym after work is, I got to go home and change, I would just bring my clothes in the car. Because now I get off work and I'm like, well, I have the clothes, I just need to go change. Even better, how about I go to work in my gym clothes, given that your job allows that. You reorient your environment in a way where you structure it to where it's a lot easier for you. You create cues where it's like, oh, well, since I'm here now, I'll do it. How much harder would it be if, for example, you get off work, you have to drive home, gym clothes are at home, you gotta drive home, change. The gym is on the way home, but now you have to go home, then go back to the gym. So now it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do X, Y, and Z to get to A, B, and C. As opposed to, I could just go straight from A to B. Make it easier for you to take action. Make it easier. Find ways to make it easier if it's that difficult in the beginning. And always remember that the beginning is always the toughest. You make that initial hurdle, done, handled. Okay? Now, those are just frameworks and ideas. Now we need some practical strategies for long-term change. I am a big fan of reflecting because reflecting allows me to see what I've done wrong, what I've done right. I can double down on what I've done right. I can discard what I've done wrong, or I can take lessons from all of the wrong or mistakes that I've made. Be it throughout the day, throughout the week, the past month. I enjoy reflecting. And to reflect, I need silence and time alone. If you do not have that, I encourage you to find a place where you can get 30 to 1 hour alone. If you have a bunch of kids running through the house, find a way. Find somewhere quiet, just sit. If your life is always on go, just take a moment and step back. See where you can go. No, you don't need to see your boyfriend. No, you don't need to see your girlfriend. No, you don't have to constantly stop. Sit outside, get some damn sunlight, listen to the birds. You'll be just fine. Ask yourself what worked this week and what didn't. Do not become unmotivated by what didn't, because you now know what not to do to make whatever you plan on doing in the future even better. A lot of growth in businesses, surprisingly, R&D. They try and they try and they try and they find out 1,000 ways to not do one thing until they got the one thing that works. Einstein didn't find one way to create the light bulb. He found a million ways not to. So figure out what worked and double down on whatever works. Discard everything else. Ask yourself, well, what can I do differently next week? You start to build a strategic plan. You now have a lever, push down on it, execute, and again, remember what works. Continue doing what works. If you see something that doesn't work, you can either fix it or discard of it. But this is where you need to weigh things out. How much time, effort, and energy will it take for me to fix something broken? Or should I just replace it with something new? This is where you get into the idea of, is it a volume issue? Have I done it long enough? Or is it a methodology problem? You cannot identify that something's a methodology problem, meaning maybe I need to adjust it until you've done something long enough. Here's a great example. On my YouTube, usually with thumbnails, I kind of just screenshot a picture of me throughout the video and I post it. That's my thumbnail. I've been trying to change something up with these thumbnails recently where I create like a red border and just make it a little bit different. Some videos where I create the red border and I make the thumbnail look all catchy and cool, the videos don't really do that well. But I can't decide if it's a method problem, like, oh wait, it's because of the thumbnail, unless I've done a lot of videos and used the same thumbnails. So then my problem is, it's a volume problem. After maybe 40 videos, 100 videos of doing this red thumbnail, maybe then, if I still see it doesn't work, okay, it's a method problem. But you can only say it's a method problem after there's enough volume to determine that, okay, it's not how many times I've done it. It's not that. Because sometimes, believe it or not, things aren't working because you just haven't done it long enough. Don't make that mistake. Do something long enough. If you still don't see a result, it's time to change. But you don't just do something once or twice and say it's not working, I gotta change it up. No, then you keep diversifying and diversifying and diversifying, and you never narrow it down to one channel. One channel, one path, go, doesn't work, small adjustments, anchor it, shift it, pull, execute a different way. And that's where we leverage. You guys know how much I love leverage. Something cool about visualization is your brain can't really distinguish between a vivid, imagined experience and reality. Visualization builds belief in your abilities. That's just how we work. If you want to get really deep, then you probably understand that what we see isn't even what we see. They're messages that our eyes send to our brain, particles and waves that aren't even here, that just we create. But I'm not going to get into that. So if you want to practice visualization, you can. And all it takes is just to imagine whatever it is that you're doing. Feel it, see how real it is. Incorporate it, integrate it. Then you can launch from there. And always remember, this is my favorite, almost my number one practical way of winning is to play the long game and embrace the long game. Hey, true transformation takes time. Nobody great did it in a year, 6 months. Dude, they've been at it for over 5 to 10 years. In their early stages, they felt the same way you did. Unmotivated? Is this gonna work out? Will it work out? I don't know, but I know one thing is I'm gonna keep going because the one path to failure is to stop, and I will just avoid failure if I do not stop. Takes time. Don't focus on quick wins. Just commit to the process. Commit to seeing progress. The compound effect. Small wins every day. Consistent actions, small micro actions, exponential results over time. Play the long game because you have time. If you don't have time and your time comes sooner than later, it doesn't matter anyways. You've clocked out. And that framework has really helped me in moments where it's like, I'm not winning now. But I remind myself I will win if I keep this up for X amount of time, for 5 years, for 10 years. And I probably will live to see that. And if I don't, then it's okay. Everything means nothing anyways. Track one habit just for 90 days. Focus on it and make it consistent over time, which will end up making it perfect. Okay? Key points, listen to me. Recap, in case you forgot. Overcome the motivation trap by starting small. That's 1. 2, shift your mindset and take extreme ownership. Focus on your identity. 3, build habits and systems that make success almost inevitable. 4, reflect, adjust, and commit to the long game. Transformation just doesn't happen that easily. I wish it could. But unless you have a ton of resources, it just takes time. In the beginning, you trade time for money. And then you get enough money to where you can buy back some time and you gain a skill. With that skill, you have a lever to where you can double down on that skill and you get more for your time, which means you get more money. And now with that money, you can truly buy back some time. It's gonna take time. But you have nothing but time. Another day you live where you don't take action is another day where you just get farther and farther away. If you start now, you're just at least one step closer to getting there. If you start tomorrow, you've lost a day. You may be one step closer, but you've lost a day when you could have been 2 steps closer. Don't let that pile up to being 100 days behind, a year behind, 3 years behind, 5 years behind. Now, do it now. Don't worry about giving it 100. Start small. Because you can, and you will. Remember, it takes time. And this is going to be a story you're going to one day tell, which makes it all the more better and gives you all the more reason to start now. Everything boils down to just taking action. But beyond that, before you take action, you have to really know that you're the type of person that can take action. For me, I focus on who I needed to become before I figured out what I had to do. Some people, it's flipped, it's inverted. But because I figured out who I have to become to achieve a goal, taking the action was just a lot easier for me. And that helped me. That's all I got.